Welcome to Newcastle in beautiful Australia, the second largest city in New South Wales, Australia. After 150 years of rail travel into the CBD, the heart of Newcastle, on Christmas Day 2014 it was officially cut to the fourth station out of the city, a station called Hamilton. The government said that they had a plan. The plan was to build a brand new Newcastle train station, a Newcastle interchange, and from there they would reintroduce the rail line into Newcastle, this time using light rail or trams. In this film we're going to show you some incredible before and after photos and videos of what the place used to look like when the trains were in the CBD to, of course, the brand new tram line that is now here. The four stations that we're going to show you today will be the brand new Newcastle interchange, Old Wickham train station which is now completely gone, Old Civic train station, and of course Old Newcastle train station right here. But did you know that trains used to go even further than Newcastle train station? Well, we're going to show you a bit of that too. And I'm even going to throw in some bonus footage of the old Queen Wharf Tower, the famous infamous tower in Newcastle which is now being demolished. So guys and girls, let's get this film underway. If you love trains, trams and history, then you will love this film. Let's start this film at Newcastle Interchange. Here we go. G'day everybody, my name is Gareth, but of course if you've already subscribed to my YouTube channel you would already know that. If you haven't though, I want you to click like and subscribe because this video and all my videos are pretty much going off the hook. But today I've got a different kind of video. Right now I'm at the Newcastle Interchange here in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. For the longest time, 150 years or so, we've had a train line that comes all the way from Sydney into the heart of Newcastle, into the dead heart of Newcastle. But in 2014, on Christmas, they actually cut the line off to about 4 stations back that way because they wanted to open up the city. They wanted to open up the heart of the city. They didn't want trains going through the heart of the city. People were saying, well, why not just build a tunnel underneath? Or why not have it elevated? Anyway, out of the many choices that they had, the end result was they cut the line off just out of the heart of the city, which a lot of people were unhappy about, including myself. But the government basically said to us all, hey, we're going to give you buses from the train station to the heart of Newcastle while we build light rail. And guys, it's taken a long time, but today they've officially opened it. Today is the start of the Newcastle light rail. Today, what is the day today? Today is the 17th. Today is the Sunday the 17th of February 2019, and today is officially the open day for the Newcastle light rail tram line. Yeah, crazy. Oh, they're all waiting. Oh, this is the line for the tram. Oh, are you serious? Yeah. This is the line for the trams. Well, that's a fucking bitch, isn't it? But I've gone up and down it many times. I've been filming. It looks absolutely incredible. So this is what today's video is going to be about, showing off the brand new light rail system here that Newcastle actually has. We're going to show you up and down the line, each individual station. While I actually make this video though, me and Mum are on a road trip from Sydney to Newcastle and we're actually spending the night here in an apartment. It's an absolutely huge apartment. I want to show you what it looks like quickly before we start this video. I just have to show you it. Have a look. Okay, so we just arrived in our apartment. Have a look at this lounge room. Wow, spectacular. Follow me to the deck, the balcony. It's got a view of the trams and the trains when the trains were working here. Pretty good view, I guess. There's the tram tracks. I'm basically here for the trams and there's the tram right there. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's absolutely huge. Amazing, right? Anyway guys, here comes the tram. Let's get a tram all the way right now from the Newcastle Interchange, right here, all the way to Newcastle train station, the old Newcastle train station, and a little bit beyond. Here we go, follow me.
Well, there you go, you have just told us. Yeah. Bicycle train.
like when if you ever spoke to anyone that's in the Navy,
Yeah.
and you say, oh, that's a big boat. No, it's a ship.
Something like that.
As beautiful as all of this looks, let's take a quick look at how this place used to look back in the day. On the left we have the old Wickham train station, and on the right we now have the new Newcastle interchange station. This was not there to begin with. There was nothing there but rail line. It truly is amazing to see this transformation right before our eyes. Wickham train station has now actually been turned into the tram depot. So when trams need fixing, getting a shower, getting a wash, this is the depot. The depot now sits where Wickham train station once sat. Pretty amazing if you think about it. And here we have a different view of Newcastle interchange station. As you can see, the tracks have now been covered up, and you'll also see a car park on the left. That has now been removed also. And here we have it, Newcastle interchange still getting built, but it is right there. Once again, the car park has now been demolished.
On this great occasion, the grand opening of the Newcastle Light Rail.
Check out these guys, they are actually taller than I am. Woo. So this is my first time checking out the brand new Newcastle interchange. It's actually been here for a couple of years I think now, but yeah, it looks actually really good. They've got some diesel trains down there, but they've got electric trains up here. Cool new station. Like I said, I've never been here before. This is really cool actually. This used to be just railway track, railway land with just in between train stations pretty much. But they've literally built a train station out of nowhere. Cool.
For your safety, please remain behind the yellow line at all times and allow others to alight before boarding.
We've got electric trains up here. 3 platforms seems to be pretty good, but just to my right, here are the actual tram tracks. Can you see them? So you basically just hop off your train, straight onto the tram.
So as soon as it starts running, I'll fanfare on the bugle and then go into it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You do what you have to do and I'll just film you.
No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Newcastle Light Rail Community Open Day!
Yeah, quite fast.
Alright guys, this is officially the last tram of the first open day. So this is the last tram. This is pretty much 4 PM right now. There goes the lady with the Australian flag. The guy with the ringing bell is now going home. But like I said, this is the last tram. This like I said, this will be filmed over 2 days. So a lot of the footage that I've got right now will already be filmed from today. And I'm also going to be doing some filming tomorrow. So all this footage is for 2 days. The Grand Star opening day as well as the inaugural opening at 5 AM to officially start its journey for the first time in history. So come join me. Here we go. So as you can see, they've actually got quite a large luggage rack. So if you've got a lot of luggage from the train, you just like, let's just say for example, you've travelled all the way from Sydney Terminal in Sydney all the way to Newcastle interchange. You get the tram, put your luggage on the tram rack, and you're all good, you're all set to go. Pretty amazing. So as you can see at the moment, the tracks, there's 2 tracks there at the Newcastle interchange ready for possible expansion in the future. But at the moment, the tracks always constantly diverge to the right. So there's only ever one platform right now at the Newcastle interchange. But like I said, there were 2 tracks down there, but one leads to a brick wall. I don't know what you want to call it. They're going to be building a building there eventually. I'm not too sure what it is, but they've recently just knocked a big building down there. So they definitely will leave an area for possible expansion later on if they want to extend the track somewhere else. But just to my left now is the tram depot. Tram depot was pretty much the home of Wickham train station. That's right, Wickham train station was pretty much there where the tram depot is, but just a little bit further up is of course now the Newcastle interchange, which never used to be there. So the train station has been moved from there and moved to there, if you know what I mean, like 100 meters or something like that. Not even that. I think from all the train stations that were in the heart of Newcastle, probably Wickham was the most ugliest. It was the least attractive, which is why they completely 100% removed every bit of it. Although it's sad to see Wickham train station now gone forever, it's exciting to see that we have a tram system. But this is what it used to look like. And just remember, all this area where this train station was is now the tram depot. The building that holds the trams, the building that cleans the trams and maintains the trams when they need repairing. This is where it all sits right now. Let's go for a quick ride on the now removed train line to Old Wickham train station. As you can see, they've actually got one in the testing area. It's a testing tram right now. They haven't officially opened it to the public. And here's a tram to my left right now. Don't you just love trams and trains? Oh, God, I do. I absolutely love them. So beautiful. I actually went here last night and saw the nighttime view. Here's a quick look. You don't want to be jumping over the fence with the guard dog. It looks like that, running on your ass. No, 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 no. So right next to the Newcastle interchange is the actual tram depot, where all the trams get stored, cleaned, repaired, all that type of stuff. And they're all sitting here right now. I think there will be another tram or two that's still getting built, so there's still like a tram or two that hasn't been delivered yet. So what you see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, with possibly 2 more coming. Because I'm here for one night, I get to see them at night time, but I don't get to see them running at night time because they only worked from 11 AM to 4 PM. But starting from tomorrow, they start at like 5 in the morning and they finish at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning every night. So anyway, at least I get to see them at night time in the depot. But they had guard dogs and everything, kind of funny. But I was speaking to someone, I haven't noticed this myself, but I was speaking to someone and they actually said that when the trams are in the depot, as you can see, there is above wire for the above part of the depot.
Tram in testing.
So when the trams are in the depot, the pantograph touches the wire, right? But apparently when the tram starts moving, even in the depot, the pantograph comes down off of the wire so it can move with its own batteries. Why would that happen? That's strange. Is it something to do with the computer systems on the tram? Because that's the way the tram is coded. As soon as the tram is about to start moving, the pantograph automatically comes down. Maybe that's actually in the computer system with the code or something. I'm not too sure. But that's pretty interesting to hear that. You can actually see the old railway track sleepers for when the trains actually used to run here. What I'm walking on right now is train corridor. This was the train corridor for 150 years. There it is right there. There's the old railway tracks.
If you look to your left, you will see the old train tracks that were here when there was a third line. But if you look to your right, you'll also see that Wickham train station actually continued up to this point.
The next service is all stops to Newcastle Interchange.
Cool.
Poster for you, girl. Doggy friend.
Next service is all stops to Newcastle Interchange.
So just reminding you, down here and all down there is the old train corridor. So in between them two buildings, in between those buildings, that's where the old train corridor went and continued on to Newcastle train station, the 150-year-old old Newcastle train station down there. But they've utilised the old train corridor for only this section. Just before Civic train station, the track literally turns right off of the old train corridor and it turns right onto Civic Street. I'm not sure why they didn't make the tram run on the full length of the old train corridor, or why they didn't make it run on the full length of Hunter Street or the streets itself, but they've utilised maybe a quarter of the old train corridor and then turns right to Hunter Street. Here it is right now. Look at that. Pretty great, that. Because the photographer on the right taking videos. Amazing, isn't it? Trams really missed out here, I think. And this is what this section of Hunter Street looked like before the trams were built. Here you can see the tram tracks getting laid by the workers. Pretty incredible. We'll travel over here and you'll be able to see the insides of the track as they're building it. The track is now snaking its way onto the rail corridor up there. Pretty incredible. In this photo you can see the old train corridor before there was a road crossing. But there sure is one now, have a look. So like I was saying, this was the old train corridor, but they didn't utilise this bit of the corridor. Unutilized, unused, but behind me, the old corridor used, but then of course it turns around onto Hunter Street. It's cool, it's good to see a bit of use of the old train corridor. I do like it, I really do, I love it actually. But you can see the old Civic Station down there, and there's the old footbridge which went across to the platform 1 and platform 2. Apparently they're removing that very soon actually, the bridge. Just to my left, just behind me, is a art installation which they pretty much haven't opened it fully yet because you know, they've got the bars around there, but these old concrete blocks behind me and the old sandstone blocks, the steel poles, all of that, they were a part of the train network for the, I can't remember the train station, but I'll let you know. The train station was around about here, I think, and they found this. They found these while they were digging out the old train infrastructure and putting in the tram infrastructure. They found a lot of these train blocks, and then they decided to use it for an art installation. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully they open up soon.
This stop is Civic, a light here for university.
I thought that shot looked really cool, so I specifically waited in that location just to get that shot. Hope it looked good.
This stop is...
How cool does that tram look, guys? It's right there.
Here we see some amazing photos of Civic train station on Hunter Street before the trams were here. Seeing no tram tracks here just makes the place look bare and not as beautiful.
That's right.
Anyone who's been to Newcastle a couple of times will know Civic Station. It's pretty much one of the most famous in Newcastle. Civic, Newcastle, they're pretty much the top two good looking stations, if you could call them that, I don't know. And look, the platforms are still here, but honestly I don't know for how long. Take a look. I'm pretty sure they're trying to remove that bridge. That'll be one of the first things that goes from Civic Station. Apparently they're keeping most of the station, the outside of the station, which would be good to keep the history, but a lot of the interior, a lot of the other things are going. So from the looks of that picture, they're going to be removing the staircase and all the platforms, and all that will be left will be the main building. It's sad to see Newcastle go, but things are coming in its place. The trams are here now. That looks really great. So yeah, old train corridor, Civic Station, all these roads that crossed the railway track. When the trains were here, there was actually railway crossings that would close on each one of these crossings. Meep, 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 meep. Sad to see it all gone. All the infrastructure, all the poles, all the signage, it's gone. It's lost to history.
Here we see a few amazing photographs as we stand on the old train line. We look towards Old Civic Station, and just behind us is Newcastle Station. Thanks to Google Images, we were able to see the passing of time. The heart of Newcastle used to be filled with the sound of railway crossing signals dinging, as well as the sound of passing trains, so whether it be electric trains coming from Sydney or the outer suburb diesel Newcastle trains that were passing by.
Just saw a glimpse then of the tram from Civic Station. Civic train station. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure back in the day, about 4 years ago when they stopped the trains, is it 4 or 5 now? I can't remember. 2014 when they stopped the trains, there was a footbridge here that went over the railway tracks and you could walk to the other side. See, that was one of the major problems when it came to removing the trains in Newcastle. A lot of people were with it, a lot of people were against it. I was not with it, I was definitely against it. They could have done some improvements, absolutely, but to remove the whole thing, not good. But anyway, that was one of the problems with the Newcastle train system, right? Not having an open, walkable city. You've got a lot of dead areas. The train track goes literally all through the heart of the city, so the only way to the other side is to walk where the railway crossings are, or walk where the footbridges are that go over the railway tracks, and this was one of them right here.
Around about 2012, I ended up coming to Newcastle for about 2 weeks to visit my cousin who was living here. On the weekend, we actually decided to go bar hopping, and over the tracks was a nightclub, and I remember walking on top of the bridge and seeing a train go underneath us. That was pretty cool.
That's my hotel apartment. That's the old train corridor. That's the old train corridor. And just to my left, there's a tram coming right now. Have a look at
that. Sorry.
Fancy seeing you here.
I see you here, seeing you here.
Wow. Hello there.
It's me. I saw somebody coming and I thought, shit, they're going to ask.
I left Mum to do her thing and I've been up and down for a couple of hours doing my thing, filming, and randomly bump into the stranger. Hey, stranger.
No, don't. Have a laugh. Yeah, we're going to laugh the whole time. Next service is all stops to Newcastle Beach.
Here it is. Oh, very good. Absolutely.
So this is not too much.
There it goes. Boom.
Here are a few amazing photos taken of Crown Street tram station before it was actually the tram station. The trains were often stored on the 3rd train line when they weren't needed in non-peak hour times. We're currently on Hunter Street, but Hunter Street now turns right, but we're going to continue straight onto Scott Street. I'll just remind you, these photos were taken before the trams were put in place. But years ago, Newcastle, as well as Sydney, used to be absolutely filled with trams. Unfortunately, they got rid of them all.
I'm pretty sure the poor old lady down there was trying to get the tram's attention, was trying to get a ride from the tram,
in the middle of stations, in between stations. And then the guy came running to her and was like, "Oh, come over here, ma'am, the tram station is that way." So I think she was trying to stop the tram. Poor girl, kind of funny, poor girl.
The next stop is Queen's Wharf, followed by Newcastle Beach.
Alright guys, I'm not too sure if you're able to see that on the driver's screen. There's a driver compartment for, of course, in the back carriage and the front carriage, depending which way you're travelling. But I'm on the back carriage right now, and on the screen it says how much battery life is left on the tram. And you see the little meter go down as we are travelling. But once he stops at the train station, you can actually, you know, when the wire touches, when the pantograph touches the wire, you can see the battery signal get higher and higher. The tram is actually getting more energy, which is quite incredible to see.
Doors are closing. Please stand clear.
My question is though, what if we have a huge delay? What if there's like a crash on the tracks and we're in between stations for the longest time? The battery is going to be drained pretty quickly, you can imagine. The tram's getting cool with the aircon, all the lights are on. So you'd think the battery would die after a while. I don't know how that works. Here are a few amazing shots showing you what the trains and the track used to look like along Hunter Street and Scott Street as we travel up towards Newcastle. These bridges that were placed randomly along the train line have now all been removed. So let's go for another quick ride up the original rail line to see how it used to look like.
This stop is Queen's Wharf. Change here for the ferry to Stockton. Alight here for Market Street Lawn and Hunter Street Mall. This stop is Queen's Wharf.
So as you can see, this was the official railway line into Newcastle for 150 years. In this amazing historical photograph, you can see a tram on Scott Street making its way down Hunter Street. These amazing photographs that were taken back in the day, roughly where I'm standing right about now. But since they've closed it, they've added beautiful park benches, a nice little parky area for people to come with their dogs to chill out on the lunch break. It's actually very nice. In the past, this whole area used to be train tracks all the way through the heart of the city, and the only way to get from one side to the other was occasionally an above bridge over. And there was a bridge right there next to the signal box. I'll show you the footbridge, which was right there, and right next to the footbridge was a tower, a very famous tower which is now gone in Newcastle. They've got the fake looking railway tracks here too. I mean, it all adds to the history of where we are right now. I'm glad they've kept the history, I really am. I personally don't think they should have removed the trains. Maybe they should have put them under the ground. Maybe they should have put them above. Probably the underground would have been better, but either way, they've done it now and the trams are here, and I really love what they've done with the trams. Right guys, so the bridge used to come from over there in the Main Street area, used to cross over my head, and used to go over there where there's a huge gap of nothingness right now. That used to be where the huge tower was, and me and my cousin Anthony have been up there. In fact, me and my mum and my father and my nana and granddad all went up there at one point as well, many years ago. My grandparents, my nana and granddad, who have now both unfortunately passed away, they lived in Newcastle most of their life when they moved from where they lived in Liverpool in England, and they came to Australia on a boat, and this is where they ended up living. Having the trains run right through the heart of the city was a beautiful sight, but what wasn't so beautiful, I must admit, was having the endless barricades that would prevent people from crossing from one side of the CBD to the other. Of course, there was railway crossings here and there. Of course, there were bridges here and there, like this one right here, which actually gave you direct access to the Queen's Wharf Tower, which have both now been removed. It just wasn't as seamless as just walking from one part of the city to the other. Sure, this one had a ramp. You were able to go across it if you had mobility issues, like a wheelchair. But the problem was, many of these bridges didn't have wheelchair access. It made it harder for people with walking sticks to get from one side of the city to the other. It just caused a blockage of movement. I absolutely agree. Newcastle needed change. It needed ease of access from one side of the city to the other. But it's always had me wondering, why not just build a cut and cover train tunnel all the way from Hamilton's train station to Newcastle? Wickham and Civic train stations could have been underground, while the rail tunnel came up just before Newcastle, allowing old Newcastle train station to stay just the same. But yeah, the tower's gone now. I actually can't remember the name of it right now, but it was in the shape of a penis pretty much. And the tower went up, and it's been there for 50 years or so. I don't know, it's been there a long time. But anyway, they've actually got rid of it, which kind of sucks. It's kind of a shame that they've got rid of it. It was a symbol of Newcastle, if you know what I mean. But that's now gone too. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Me and my cousin ended up going up there, and I did a hyperlapse up the staircase. Have a look at this. This is a pretty famous landmark in Newcastle. Let's go check out the view, guys. Pretty cool view, huh? Nice, really nice. That's where we were parked. That's where we parked last night. Just over there. And that's Nobby's Beach Lighthouse. We went and saw that today, remember? There's still a lot of areas that are underdeveloped, which is a good thing. We're all hoping that they don't build buildings here. There's a lot of land that they could turn into a beautiful bike track. That basically goes towards Sydney, towards the new Newcastle station, the Newcastle interchange. Like I said, there's a lot of prime real estate which used to be the train tracks. If we ever choose to turn the clocks back and build the trains here again, if there are buildings being built here, we will not be able to do it. So I'm hoping they don't get approval. I'm hoping that the building developers don't get approval. Really hoping that they actually turn it into a walking track. That would be great, that would be ideal, so we could revert it back to train tracks if we wanted to in years to come.
The next stop is Newcastle Beach.
And this is probably the most famous landmark here in Newcastle. It is the Newcastle train station. It has been here for about 150 years, give or take. And it's not been operational now since 2014, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, something like that.
This is what Newcastle train station used to look like when the trains were coming. You'd be able to see the VSET trains arriving from Sydney. You'd be able to see and hear the diesel trains going to local Newcastle suburbs. It was a beautiful sight, I must admit. I really liked seeing this in Newcastle.
But recently they've actually redeveloped this area. They've actually opened up the platforms again for sitting down for lunch, coffee machines, having a coffee and a lunch, things like that. It really is incredible to see that the platforms, there's dining tables and chairs for like coffee and drinks at night time. The overhead cables that power the trains are gone. The poles that hold those cables are gone. The railway track is gone. It's all one walkway from each platform to the other. It is one seamless gap all the way across. Incredible. I just want to quickly say something while we're at Newcastle train station. I think it was in the 1970s or the 1980s that they actually blocked off a train line into the heart of Newcastle even more, like deeper into the heart of Newcastle. And I'm standing pretty much on it right now. Behind me is Customs House, which is a pretty famous landmark here in Newcastle. Right next to it, of course, is the Newcastle train station. But there used to be another platform, platform 5. They ended up removing that platform years ago. But that platform rail line continued after that platform came up here, and all the way down there was this area, this whole park in Newcastle right behind me. right behind Customs House used to be a freight yard. Can you imagine that? Like this beautiful park, it's a very beautiful park here in Newcastle. It used to be a freight yard filled with freight trains. And they'd basically park here and then they'd eventually go back on their way to Sydney or wherever else. This park and down here, this was rail line and it was cut off. The rail line basically came from there, which is platform 4 or 5, something like that. And it continued on down the main line. Of course, they stopped that, and now they've stopped the main line into Newcastle. So that's 2 different railway lines that they've actually stopped in Newcastle. One in the 1980s and one in 2014, I think it was. So yeah, and this right here was basically platform 5. So there's nothing here. That's because train tracks used to be here. Well, train tracks used to be all here, but as we know, they've all been ripped out now. But in the 1980s, used to be a platform here, and the train tracks continued all the way down there, past my car, through there, and into the rail yard, past Customs House. I'll show you some photos.
As you can see on these beautiful historical photos, the Newcastle terminus was on the right, but the trains continued on the left. On the very top of the photo, you can actually see the tip of Fort Scratchley. These big buildings in the background have now unfortunately been demolished. On the left hand side you'll see the freight trains and the ships waiting to exchange cargo with each other. But if you look further into the distance, you will actually see Newcastle's famous Nobby's Head Lighthouse. Down the track on the left, these tracks actually continue on further. More on that in a minute. Let's now make our way over to the old Newcastle rail yard, and I'll show you some incredible before and after photos here. All of this park, all of this grass, including this beautiful pond, was filled with rail track as far as the eye could see. Just on the left, you can actually see Newcastle's famous Customs House. It truly is amazing to see what a place used to look like back in the day. Here's some amazing photos of Newcastle train station from this angle. So, now that you've seen that the rail line went into the park, did you know it actually went all the way to Nobby's Head Lighthouse and even further to the breakwater? I actually filmed this footage when I was in Newcastle in 2017, but I didn't end up actually using this footage because it didn't make sense in the story. These tracks were actually used by coal trains as they unloaded their cargo onto the ships that were waiting for them.
As all the years that I've been to Newcastle and been to Nobby's Beach and been to the lighthouse, I've never seen this before. There's an old train line that runs here. Wow, that is history. I never knew trains used to run here. All right. Cool.
This stop is Newcastle Beach.
See that? Hit that 2 times and say double.
Incredibly, this is what Newcastle Beach tram station looked like before they installed the trams. Let's be honest though, it kind of looked rather boring. Wouldn't you agree? Is that Mems there? As you guys can see, because it's the first day, this is the very first day it is open to the public, so as you can imagine, packed everywhere. Newcastle Beach Station. It just goes a little bit further than the old Newcastle train station towards the beach, but then it stops right there to go back to the brand new Newcastle train station interchange. Hello there, you.
Hello there. Okay, ready?
Yep. Alright, end talk. You've been on the tram a couple of times now, backwards and forwards. What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I'm glad we came to
Absolutely,
Newcastle.
absolutely, for the inauguration.
To have a ride on the trams. And,
Yeah.
yesterday and today. Yeah.
Much better than the buses, isn't it?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that Newcastle's got the infrastructure in place now and that are doing it, so it's good.
Hopefully it will help the situation here with the shops.
The businesses, that's right. Yeah, a lot of businesses have been closed for the longest time.
I saw 8 shops.
8 shops in a row.
closed, and there's another one closing, a bookshop closing down.
Wow.
So that would be nice.
Yeah.
In just this area.
Just this area here. For the longest time, the heart of Newcastle has been dying a little bit more and a little bit more as time goes on. Shops are closing. No one comes to the heart of the city because they ripped out the train tracks, and yeah, there was buses from the train station, but they didn't close down to Newcastle, but no one was really using it because they kind of destroyed the city for 4 or 5 years. But hopefully now businesses can come back and be successful, and this is a really great opportunity for them. So great job, guys. Taken too long, but good job.
Welcome aboard.
Let's do it.
This stop.
Alright everybody, thank you for watching. I hoped you liked the video. 2 days worth of filming. I thought I'd end the video in the right area. Just down there is the Newcastle train station, the old one, the 150-year-old one. Another tram. Wow, what an amazing opportunity. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, give me a like and subscribe if you like me that little bit more. I make travel videos all around the world, so if you like me that little bit more, ring the bell. That gives you the notifications when I release a brand new video. Newcastle train station's down there. Thanks for watching. Love you all. Bye. Looks like Mum's got some lucky stones. What have you got there, Mum?
2 amethyst crystals
Oh, nice.
from the Tree of Life in Newcastle.
Beautiful.